And welcome again. Today is a very special day for we Columbans. They've just celebrated an ordination of Ioani Nyao in Fiji, a man I knew in Peru, and has just been ordained a priest. So we pray for him and give thanks to God for his vocation. In these last week and a half, we've been seeing a whole lot of meetings with the risen Lord. And probably the most poignant is when the Magdalene comes out of the tomb and she sees the gardener and she speaks to him, not recognizing that this person is Jesus, until he says, Mary. And then with so much affection and so much respect, she recognizes him. And it's like the women running from the tomb to bring the news of the resurrection of Jesus to the other disciples. Jesus meets them on the way and they recognize him. Or the two disciples on their way to Emmaus, and Jesus joins them at table and they recognize him in the breaking of the bread. And then in the upper room with the doors closed and all, and Jesus is there, totally surprised. Some believe him, and for the others Jesus asks for a piece of fish, which he eats, and others believe in him as well. And then there's Thomas. Some people call him the incredulous, others the healthy doubting, and so on. But Thomas recognizes Jesus in his wounds. Jesus shows him his hands and his feet and his side, and Thomas recognizes him. And so the wounds of Jesus are a hallmark of his life, his ministry, his self-giving, total self-giving, and now his resurrection. We are missionary disciples today. What about us? Do we have any wounds that we, like Jesus, could put at the service of mission, the service of the kingdom? Or do we tend to hide our wounds? And I think possibly we do that more than reveal them. Because if we look at Jesus' ministry, the point of contact for so many people was their woundedness. Jesus saw lepers and appreciated their situations and reached out and touched them, healed them, and sent them back to an even better life. Or likewise, the sinners, the prostitute who washed his feet at the feast in the house of Simon the Pharisee. And Jesus says, defending her, I tell you her sins, her many sins are all forgiven, because she has such great capacity of love. Or with the adulteress, Jesus says, neither do I condemn you. Go in peace and sin no more. Live a new life, a fuller life. And so I want to paraphrase something I heard a while ago. I would rather put my wounds at the service of the kingdom or at the service of mission than spend my life at the service of my wounds. What wounds might we as Columbans have, as ordained Columbans? And I was thinking the first one possibly would be celibacy. We do not enjoy the kind of intimate relationship that most people do, most parents do. In fact, in South America, even the witness of celibacy was not accepted. They just did not believe that active, engaging men could live a celibate life. And another one could be, for Columbans, living in what we would call, or for us, is a foreign culture. Because there, whether we're there for 5 or 50 years, we're always foreigners. And whether we enculturate, get a magnificent grasp of the language and so on, We're still foreigners. And so we think we believe, or we think we know, but we don't fully know what's going on. Or we think we're known, but we know we're not fully known. And then a third one could be, when we come home, we come into an atmosphere with the stain of pedophilia. We are priests. And what do we do with those wounds? Do we hide them? Or do we put them at the service of the kingdom, the service of mission? And I think it's something similar with lay people. I know, and you know, I'm sure, some men who live with totally neurotic wives, or some wives who live with alcoholic husbands. And I know one very well. Thank God he is not violent. But that's a wound. Or a family raising, with all their love and affection, a severely handicapped child. Or again, a young family where the budget just doesn't cut it. Now, what do they do with those wounds? Can they put them at the service of the kingdom? Can they actually be instruments of life and love and growth? And I suspect if they do, then they can allow the wounded healer, which is the title of a book by Henry Nouwen, The Wounded Healer. Let the healer in, the wounded healer, in to touch you, to help you, to console you. Because there's one statement, I think it was Gustavo Gutierrez said, when we arrive at these supposed pearly gates, one question we might be asked is, where are your wounds? Okay? God bless you. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, will you? And God willing, we'll see you next week. God bless.